Okay, in the last movie we added a preloader to our movie, and now we're going to keep working on that. What I'm going to do is I'm also on this same layer, there's the little percent text box that will load. I'm going to, let's see here, I'll take this up so it's a little bit bigger. I'm going to add another text box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a different text box, and I'm going to click here. And this new text box will not be dynamic text, it'll just be static text. And this one's just going to say loading. And so that I will get my align tool, align to stage, center, and center. And then this one also centered and centered, and I'll bring it up. So now you can see here that I've got both pieces. Now I can bring that down a little bit. The other thing I could do is, if I wanted to, I could move this over, and then I could slide this one over like this. Well, you get the point. I could line the two of them up, turn off align to stage, and line them with each other. And then just move this one over a bit. So now, if I had view, simulate, download, make that even better, what I'll do is zoom in, take this box, constrain it a bit, take this one, move it over to the left, move this one over to the right, and I think that's better. Test it out, make sure that you like how it looks. Better. Okay, it's just simple. Alright, next thing we need to do is we need to create a skip button to skip in case we want to skip the intro. So what I'm going to do is I'll get that text button again, and I'll change the color to, let's say, a gray, and I'll just type here skip intro. Alright, now in case they wanted to skip the intro, they have that option. Now for this piece of text, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to go back here to my timeline. Let me zoom out, fit in window, and say, okay, as soon as this thing plays, where do I want this thing to be? So what I'll do is I will place it, let's say, paste up here in the right hand corner, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'll make it 16 points in case anybody wants to skip the introduction. Now it's text, and so what I need to do is convert this into a button. So what I'm going to do is highlight it and say modify, convert to symbol, change it to a button, and I'll call it btn-skip. btn-skip, and click OK. So now I've got a button called skip, and in the instance name I'm going to call it also btn-skip. Hit enter. I cannot put in a dash, so what I'll do is I'll just put in btn and then capital S skip. How about that? Yep, doesn't balk. No dashes allowed, but the text is good. So btn capital S skip, no spaces. So now all I have to do is code to this. So I've got this button here, got my preloader here, my regular text here, and I'm ready. I need to code for this button. So I'm going to open up that code window. I'm going to add some code here that will work for the button. So at the bottom of my code on my actions layer where my action script was, I just put these lines of code. So here they are. btn capital S skip, which is the name of my button, my instance name of my button, add event listener, a mouse event click, and then call this function go to end. And the T is capitalized, the E is capitalized. Then here's my function, go to end. It's going to be event, a mouse event, and then very simply it just says go to and stop with capital A, capital S, and then a frame label with the name of end. Now I could have put a number in here, but instead I put a frame label. So now what I need to do is, okay, notice once again the name is btn skip. That code has been placed on this keyframe here, actions frame. So now what I need to do is I need to go to the end of my movie, and at the end of my movie what I'll do is I'll put a keyframe here, and then I'll select that, and I will put in the label here. Notice I select the frame, select the keyframe, and then once you have the keyframe selected, then you go to the property window and you can put a label, which is a name, and I put the word end. So now it should go to the end. Now, just to test this out, I'm going to get my paintbrush here. I'm going to get a piece of red, and I'm going to make a squiggle to make sure that when we get to the end, we're actually at the end. So on this layer here, I will paint a squiggle, and then we'll test out our movie. Control Enter, movie plays. I'll turn off the bandwidth profiler. Movie plays, and I don't see the button. Let's see here. There's skip intro at the top. I'll click, I maximized it so I could see the button. Click skip intro, and sure enough it goes to the end of the movie. So now all we need to do is once we get to the end of the movie, we will load the code that will load our website. Okay, I want the user to be able to click on this skip intro button whenever they're watching the movie. They can click on the skip intro button at any point in the movie just to go to the end. So having it only visible on one frame is no good. So what I need to do is I need to move this. So I'm going to select it. I can leave the loader stuff on that frame, but I just want to move the skip intro. So I'm going to select it and cut it, Control X on my keyboard, and then I'll make a new layer, and I can even call this layer skip btn for skip button, right? And I'll select that layer, and then I'll do an edit paste in place, and that pastes it in the same place. So these loading items here, I want those to disappear as the movie starts playing, but I want the skip intro button to be visible all the way to the end. If you click the button, you go to the end, and the nice thing about having it go to a frame label as opposed to just a number, in other words, I could have put in this code the end of the movie, which would be like 259, frame 259, right? I could have done that. But if you do that and you decide you want to change the movie or add more to your movie, then you got to go back in here and you got to change the number, and you're constantly changing it. But if you put a frame label, oops, went too far there. If you put a frame label, then if you decide you want to change your movie, you just go to the end of the movie and you can move the frame label wherever you need it, and then the button will go to that frame label regardless. So what I'm going to do is I'll remove these frames here, and I will remove these frames, and so you see at the end of the movie now I have just this little piece of paint that I put here with a brush. I brushed some red, a red shape there just to let me know that that's the end. And what I'm going to do is on my actions layer, I'm also going to put a stop keyframe. Okay, that'll stop the playhead, right? And test it out. There's the movie playing. There's the button up in the right hand corner. Click it, stops at the end.